Hey, Jeff Muller here, Jersey Sports Guys, on a Thursday evening after the Mets and Yankees game tonight. And glad you could be with us. Stay with us. We're going to try to get on a regular basis, at least 5 days a week, and tell you what's going on up north in my former stomping grounds and down here in the South with my present stomping grounds and down in South Carolina. That's why, hence the title, Jersey Sports Guys, North and South. Got to talk a lot of Jaguars, get into the Dolphins. Panthers are nearby here where I am. The Bucks down in Tampa. But first, let's get to the Mets. And I was watching the end of the Mets game. I watched the Phillies game, and you talk about two ends of the parameters here. Here are the Phillies winning for the third night in a row in the ninth inning. What just an incredible 3 nights they had in the ninth inning comebacks against Washington. And how bad are the Nationals, the pitching staff? Wow, 26 blown saves. And they reached 500, but they were above 500 coming into tonight. Okay. They hit the ball well. They just don't have any pitching. Richard Lovelady, the ex-Met, is in their bullpen right now. But a big one for the Phillies. They're really creeping in. They're closing that gap on the Braves. They were 4.5 coming into tonight. So I didn't think the Phillies would be able to make that run, but all of a sudden they're right there. The Mets, 6 losses in a row. What can you say? Big effort. They came back. It was scoreless in the 6th. The Cubs put up 3 runs in the top of the 6th. Thanks again to Mets errors. And how can you let a ball go right through your legs? Okay. Benj is in right field. The ball goes through his legs. It looks like a Little League play. It really did. It looked like a Little League play. Another Mets mess. The errors hurt him tonight. 4 unearned runs for the Cubs. And talk about bad trades that come back to haunt you. Pete Crow Armstrong. If you're a diehard Mets fan, you certainly know who he is. And he was given up for Javier Baez back in 2021. That didn't turn out well for the Mets. It certainly turned out well for the Cubs. And he continues to haunt the Mets. With the go-ahead run, the hit for the go-ahead run tonight against the Mets, and they lose their 6th straight. But I'm on my Soto rant, Juan Soto rant again. So I'm coming up, bases loaded, 3-2. Cubs are winning, big spot, bottom of the 6th. What does he do? He grounds out to second, and is not even halfway down the line running when he grounds out. Soto is going to hit around 300 because he gets walks. He'll walk. He won't reach for the long ball. He'll walk instead to make the average look good. And like I've been telling you guys, I think he is just going through the motions at this point. Look for him to opt out when that comes around. I think it's in 2029. I don't know. Who knows if the Mets are what they're going to be like in 2029. Simeon goes on the DL now. Okay. Polanco is supposed to be back soon. Okay. But it's just, they are now at the break. They're 34-47. They're on pace to win 68 games. And that's what I figured, around 70. I thought 80 would be a reach. I thought I'd see him in the mid-70s, but they got rid of David Peterson. I think that's a good move for Peterson to get out of New York, get a change of scenery. He's with a Cubs team. It's definitely going to get to the postseason. They're starting to get their starting pitching back. The Cubs, they're going to be a team to watch the second half of the year. They get the starting pitching back. But the Mets, it's just one catastrophe after another. This week they had all 4 infielders make an error in a game. It happened first time back in 1962 when they were pretty hapless. But if you look back, and I'm gonna look back at this, the Mets at 62 and now the Mets in 26. There must be some similarities there that are going on. This could be the worst finish for them since 2018. And how many of you, including myself, for my work on tnonline.com, predicted the Mets would win the NL East? You looked at the pitching staff, you looked at McLean, you looked at Peralta, two frontline starters. You looked at Senga, who was rumored to be coming back. You looked at Peterson. You looked at this depth in the starting staff with Clay Holmes. And you said, hey, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, they got some bullpen arms. It's just been a mess. It's just been a mess. But this is what happens when you try to put David Stearns, and when you try to put those pieces where they really don't fit. You try to force guys into positions where they really do not know how to play. Francisco Lindor's back. I thought he wouldn't be back for at least another week. I think they brought him back as a sense of desperation. I really did. They bring him back, I think, too early. He makes an error. He doesn't look good in the field. He doesn't play tonight. Okay. But he's back, and see what he can do. I don't know what's going to happen there with him. Like I said, I think Soto's playing out the string. I think Lindor's more of a gamer. We're going to see probably a little bit more from him. But again, it isn't good. 14 men left on base tonight. 14 runners left on base. That's when you think about that stat. 14 runners left on base. That's pretty incredible. It really is. And I don't think this is entirely Carlos Mendoza's fault. He's playing the hand that he's got. He's playing out the hand that he's got. And he's made some bonehead plays, some questionable plays. Sometimes he with his pitchers. You saw that early in the season. He was yanking guys out early when they were still in somewhat contention, right? And he did that last year. And a lot of that last year fell on Mendoza when they fell apart. They didn't make the postseason. But this year, I think, he doesn't have a lot to deal with. He's trying to win a poker game with a pair of sixes, trying to win a poker game with a pair of tens. He just doesn't have the horses to go through. So the Yankees come up short a little bit. Cam Schlit still pitches a pretty good game. They get hurt by errors as well, but the Yankees are still, they're once they get Judge back, Stanton back, okay, Grisham back, I think they're really going to start to put things together. And once they get this pitching, all this pitching comes back in August, okay? Fried and Schmidt and all these guys come back. And Brian Cashman's going to do something at the deadline, okay? They're going to be fine, okay? They're going to be fine. All-star balloting. What is all this stuff? Phase 1, phase 2. We got to figure out who's going to be the second seed, who's the first seed outfielder, the first seed third baseman. I mean, come on. I used to enjoy as a kid getting those Gillette ballots. Remember those white ballots by Gillette? And I used to get them at the drugstore. And you would go in and take a handful of ballots. They had that stand set up, and you had the little section there where you could get the ballots and grab a handful of ballots, and you're punching out. You run back up and you stuff them in the box. Again, we're at a different age than where we were in the 70s. And now we're in all these phases, and somebody's trying to figure it out. And, I haven't really gotten into last year's game actually was intriguing to me. And then you had this home run derby, tiebreaker. Let's just stick to baseball. Come on. And let's just get some kind of system. You vote as many times as you want, right? And you cut it off, and then you count the ballots. This phase 1, phase 2, whatever we're going through, it makes it too complicated for the fan. Okay. Keep it simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Okay. Just keep it simple. Come on. Okay. I saw that about the ballot. Finally, pop culture, hot dog moment of the night. And I want to give a shout out to my student in Bogota, one of the nicest young men I've ever come across in my 33 years of teaching. And I had a great time at St. Joe's Academy in Bogota. And if anybody's listening, big shout out to Mr. Joe Mitchell. What a fine, young, classy young man. And I know he's developed since he went to St. Joe's. And Joe, I know you're a fine, outstanding young man right now. And I wish you all the best. And thank you for watching this old man here who taught you many years ago in Bogota. But just so many great people in Bogota. I really missed that school, and I had a great 12-year run there when we were shut down, unfortunately, at the end in 2020. But anybody else, Devangel Guerrero, I was trying to think of some names. I'll come up with more next time. Just a great bunch of young men and young ladies there too as well. And it was a great run. I taught with my longtime friend Paul Jussick, and I tip my hat to the late great James Newman, the principal, as well as Stella Scarano and the whole gang over there at St. Joe's. What a fun time we had. Aaron Jacowenko, okay. Senora Sanchez, just a great group. And talking about Bogota, you go to Bogota, you got to go to White Manna. Next time, one of these trips back north, I'm going to make my stop at White Manna to the legendary hamburger place that those little sliders, they were the best, and the French fries. And you had to get the French fries. You just copped off tonight. So all my friends at Bogota, I give you a big shout out. Joe, get everybody else to get tuned in here, and I'll find my old list and check in with you guys, and hope maybe even check in with you guys for some kind of summer reunion this year. I know summer goes fast, but hey, thanks again for watching. Come back soon. We'll be back sometime over the weekend. And we'll start doing some Southern football looks, get back to the Jets and the Giants, and see how more hapless the Mets can be. But take care of yourself and have a great rest of your week. And I'll talk to you next time.